Guys, it's October the 7th, 2025, and I hope everybody's been having a wonderful day so far today. I really do hope that each and every single one of you has been having a fantastic day today. Fear. That's what I want to talk about today, is fear. Because one of the biggest things, or biggest reasons that I drank the way that I did was because of fear. Because I was afraid. Alcohol gave me courage. It gave me liquid courage. It allowed me to say and do things that I would never say or do had I been sober. Why I thought that I needed to act the way that I did, impress people and act a certain way, why I thought people would like me more if I acted a certain way, I really don't know. Maybe it was because I got positive reinforcement whenever I would do crazy things, pats on the back, high fives, that was awesome, dude, things like that. And, it just instilled this feeling of just like I was on top of the world. And like I said, I just thought that everybody enjoyed to be around that individual when I was intoxicated. I thought that everybody liked the guy that I was back then. And like I said, come to find out that people didn't. But I was misinformed. I was confused about reality because I hadn't been in reality for so long. I had been intoxicated for so long that I couldn't see clearly. I couldn't think clearly, and I just thought that, once again, that when I got drunk and acted a certain way, that people enjoyed being around that person. And, come to find out that they really didn't. Now I know, especially now that I'm sober, and if I run across somebody who's intoxicated, it is one of the most annoying things in the world. It's just crazy to think that, back in the day, that was me. And I thought that I was so cool, and people thought that I was just the coolest person, and my conversation was just so great, and all these things. And like I said, come to find out, it wasn't. I probably repeated myself 20 times in 10 minutes, told the same story over and over and over again. Looking back now, I probably was really annoying when I was hanging around people. Just by the way that I acted. I'm sure that I was, because I know how I used to act, and I am so far opposite from who I used to be now that I'm sober. It's like night and day. It truly is night and day. Like I said at the beginning of today's video, fear. I was afraid. I was afraid that people wouldn't like me. I was afraid that I wouldn't be popular. I was afraid that I wasn't interesting enough without alcohol. I was afraid that I couldn't be me without alcohol. I couldn't be the imagined version of myself, the person that I thought that people wanted to be around. I couldn't be that person without drinking because of fear, because I was afraid. I was afraid of everything. And I just didn't realize it in the moment. I didn't realize that I was afraid of having a conversation with somebody and them not agreeing with everything that came out of my mouth, having a disagreement with someone. I guess that scared me back then. But when I got drunk, I could be as loud and obnoxious as I wanted to, and talk over people and argue with people and do all kinds of just ridiculous things when I was intoxicated. But when I was sober, I couldn't, and it was because of fear. Fear controlled me. Was it fear that pushed me to drink the way that I did? Was it fear that led me to drinking a half a gallon of vodka every single day? I wouldn't necessarily say that was all of the reason that I drank the way that I did, but it definitely played a really big part in the way that I drank, because I was afraid. And more than anything else, I was afraid of people not liking me. I don't know why, but that just scared me so bad when I was younger. Especially in my teenage years and in my 20s, I really cared about what people thought about me back in those days. And like I said, in order for me to become this other individual, the one that I thought that people really liked to be around, I had to drink in order to get there. But that wasn't truly who I was. The whole time I was playing a role. It was like Matthew McConaughey playing a role for a movie. That's exactly what I was doing. It was like I was, getting into a role. I was getting into character. It was exactly like that. Like I was, and I can't remember the form, method acting, is that what it's called? When they get into the character so much that they actually start to become the character. That's exactly what was going on with me when I was in active addiction. I was method acting. I was becoming this other person. And even though I was not this person, I portrayed them so much and, became this person every single day, especially when I drank so often that I began to slowly but surely morph into this individual. And instead of it being, I acted like that, just sometimes, only when I was intoxicated, it got to the point where I started acting like that all the time. But the thing is, as well, is that I was always intoxicated back then. Was I always drunk? No, but, did I have a really solid buzz majority of the time? Absolutely. I mean, basically from the time I woke up in the morning until the time I went to sleep at night, there was a significant amount of alcohol in my system. I never was completely sober, ever. So I didn't even know who I even was anymore. I had become so far detached from who I am that I didn't even recognize myself anymore. Another thing too, like I've said, I was so ashamed of who I had become that I wouldn't even look at myself in the mirror. And it's just insane to think about that. I knew that I didn't want to be that person, but I kept doing it over and over and over again. It's just as ashamed as I was of myself for being this other individual and drinking the way that I was, I kept doing it every day. I'd do it again because, like I said, fear. I think fear played a huge role in my addiction because I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of rejection more than anything else. I just wanted to be liked. Where I'm at my age now, not saying I'm like some super old, super wise person or anything, but the one thing is that the older that I've gotten, the less that I've worried about what people thought about me, especially since I've gotten sober. Does it still bother me if somebody doesn't like me or, they think that I'm, ridiculous or something like that? Of course it bothers me. I'm a human being. I want people to like me. I want to be liked. I want to be friends with people. I want to get along with people. I don't want to have problems with anybody. I don't want to have any issues. I just want to go through life peacefully and get along with people and have friends and just have a nice life. And the way that I was going about trying to get to that end goal when I was in active addiction was just the wrong way. But I didn't realize that because I had become so disillusioned in my addiction that I didn't even know what reality was anymore. I didn't even know how people were supposed to act anymore because, like I said, I become so disillusioned in my drunkenness. My drinking had become my life. I didn't know anything else but to drink. And that's all there was to it. But back again to the fear. Like I said, fear controlled me. Fear ran my life. And fear pushed me to consume alcohol the way that I did. Because the more that I drank, the less fearful that I was. The more that I drank, the more brave that I became. The more that I drank, the more likely I was to get into an argument with someone or stand up for myself. Because when I was sober, I wouldn't do it. When I was sober, if somebody said something to me, I would probably back down or turn the other cheek or just ignore it. or try to make a joke and just brush it off or whatever. I was not the type of person to get up and stand up for myself and say, you do not talk to me like that, or you don't do that to me, or whatever it is. I just was not keen to stand up for myself back then, especially in my younger years, my teenage years and things like that. I was afraid of everything. But when I drank, man, oh man, did that fear just wash away. I became fearless. I think it was one of the most attractive things about alcohol to me was the fact that it erased all of my fears. That I became this fearless individual that would say and do anything. And do not cross me when I was drinking, because that was a big mistake. I would say the most crazy things to people sometimes, the most hurtful things to people sometimes. I just didn't care. All that mattered to me back then was, making sure that I looked good at the end of the day. And thinking back on it now, and just some of the things that happened back then when I was in active addiction, some of the people that I hurt back then, saying things, trying to impress other people. And I can think back to one instance where I made a comment to somebody that I hadn't seen in years. They just happened to stop by my house one night. And like I said, I hadn't seen them in years. We were good friends years before that. And they came by my house to visit me on like a Friday night. And it was like 9 o'clock on a Friday night. They just happened to be in my neighborhood. And he called me up and said, hey man, I haven't seen you in a long time. Is it cool if my wife and I stop by there and see you? And I said, yeah, come on by. And they came by, and I just remember being completely wasted drunk when they showed up, first of all. And I said something that I should not have said. And I know that I really hurt that guy's feelings. And I never spoke to him again after that. He pretty much ghosted me, and we've never spoke again. As a matter of fact, I bumped into him at one of my kids' school. They had an awards day at one of my kids' school not that long ago, and I bumped into that guy at the school. He didn't say a word to me. He didn't speak to me. He saw me. He looked right at me and then kept on going about his business. Pretended like I wasn't even there because he did not want to speak to me, and I don't blame him one bit. I'm not going to get into all of what was said and things like that, but I just said something really off the wall. I shouldn't have said it. I wasn't thinking. I was intoxicated. I thought I was being funny, but I wasn't, And I lost a friend that night because of fear, because I was afraid. I was afraid my whole entire life of everything. And like I said, especially relationships. I was afraid of losing relationships. I was afraid of creating relationships. I was just afraid of everything. And alcohol did something to me that removed those fears. I wasn't afraid of anything. I could be brave when I drank. I could speak up for myself when I was intoxicated. I could say the thing that everybody thinks, but they never say when I was intoxicated. Fear around my life. I was afraid of so many things. And I'm still afraid of things. I mean, don't get me wrong. Just because I've gotten sober does not mean that I'm fearless, because I'm not. I'm afraid of a lot of things. A lot of things bring me fear. But more than anything else, I just don't let it control my life anymore. And I don't need alcohol to help me transform into somebody else. I don't need to become that person anymore. If anything else, now I'm so proud of myself that I can handle and tackle these problems in life, these hurdles in life, these hard situations in life sober. And I can do it without losing my cool. I can remain calm the whole entire time. And I can think clearly and think strategically, through every obstacle that I have to deal with. I'm not getting wasted drunk and, going crazy and not even remember what I did the next day and saying things that I really didn't mean to say and putting my foot in my mouth and all those types of things. I don't do that any longer. At the end of the day, I don't need the liquid courage anymore because I handle situations in life when they arise now. I don't run and hide from them. I don't run and stick my head in the sand and hope that the problem just goes away and then get wasted drunk. I am so grateful to be sober today because more than anything else, I had a situation occur today that upset me really bad. And I'm not going to get into what happened, but somebody really upset me today. And the old me, the drunk me, would have lost it. The old me, the old drunk me, would have done something probably really ridiculous today because of what happened. But today I'm sober, and today I didn't allow that to control me. I didn't allow my anger to take over me. I didn't let my frustrations take over me. I didn't let my frustrations and my anger, I didn't allow that to change my day. I didn't allow it to ruin my day either. I just looked at it as, okay, that happened, and I'm going to go ahead and move forward. I'm not going to allow that to control me. And once again, now that I'm sober, I can think clearly and think through these types of things instead of just reacting, because that's all I ever did was react. And react out of what? Reacted out of fear. And like I said, once again, being sober has not removed the fear. I'm still afraid of things. What it's done for me is it's allowed me to look at fear from a different angle and to handle the fear in a more mature and adult-like manner, and not go out there, like I said, and lose my temper, yell at people, scream at people, curse people out, things like that, say things that I shouldn't have said or didn't mean to say. I don't allow fear to control me anymore. Yes, like I said, I still get afraid. Things still bother me. But once again, sober me handles things like adults now. And I do not act like a child when something upsets me or gets me angry. I am so grateful to be sober today, and I hope that you are as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it. And let's not allow fear to control our life. Let's not allow fear to control us to the point that we go back and relapse and continue to drink or use or do whatever it is because we're afraid. Because at the end of the day, looking back on it all, fear was one of the number one reasons that I drank the way that I did, because I was so afraid of everything in this world. Rejection made me so afraid. And I now know that that's just part of life, and drinking alcohol and getting wasted drunk anytime that I have a problem is not going to solve them. If anything, it's going to create more problems, because guess what? We're going to have problems every single day, and if every single time that we encounter a problem or an issue or whatever it is, and we go drink, we're going to be drunk every single day. Let's stop using those excuses as a means to drink or use. Let's just deal with the problems when they come up, and let's deal with them like adults, like sober adults. I promise you that staying sober and dealing with your problems in a clear, sober mind and being able to control your emotions and keep them even keeled just like this, that brings so much more pride than getting wasted drunk, yelling and screaming at someone and acting a certain way that you would never act sober, because that's not the real you. But when we're sober and we just go into a situation or a problem, we handle it cool, calm, and collected, and we work our way through it without losing our temper, man, that takes a lot of self-control. That takes so much maturity, and it truly is like the pride that you have after handling a situation like that sober and not losing your temper it makes you feel so much better at the end of the day. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it. And today, let's not allow fear to to control our life, and let's not allow fear to control us to the point where we decide to go back and relapse and drink or use again, all because of fear. I'm not going to let fear control my life. Don't let fear control yours either.